Whoa! Hello everybody, welcome to another video. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about a very, very funny, very, very funny, funny. This bit is going on for way too long. We're gonna be talking about Rob's story, a track by track of, every single song off of, the album, Rob's Story. Let me explain real quick what this album is all about. Real quick, I do want to mention this album is about paranoia, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, the whole list. It's about a whole lot. Um, this album gets dark, and it gets dark fast sometimes. Um, this is an album I made in a very, very bad headspace. I'm just gonna say that right off the bat. This was not a very great album for me to record. There's a lot of opinions that I was feeling at the time. There's a lot of things that I'm feeling at the time, and it's just not the best headspace to be in for an album. And it released the way it released. I'm happy with it. I'm content with it. Um, and it is what it is. I do want to say that this is officially one of, if not the last albums that I'm going to be like, yeah, this was just not that great. Um, However, I'm going to say I think that this album is good. I like most of the songs on it, but overall, as a whole album project, I wasn't too happy with it for some reason. And let me explain. Starting with the first track, the opening act. Now, this is an interlude that introduces the whole idea, the whole concept, the whole shebang. I'm going to be explaining in this video, by the way, from here and further, my meaning and Robert's meaning. So, they're two different people. I am me. Robert is a fictional character that I made up. Robert's meaning is the story the album is supposed to give you. My meaning is what I personally believe the song is about. They are separate. Track number 2, Projecting Thoughts. This song is a song that I made during a very depressive episode. I didn't really feel like doing much of anything that day. I didn't even really want to record a song or put down lyrics, but I decided to anyways, and this song came up. It's a pretty good song in my opinion, but when I was trying to put it on the album, I didn't really have a good spot for it, besides putting it at the very front of the album as the second track. But then I was like, story wise, this makes no sense, so I had to make up an interlude for it, being the next track. On to Robert's meaning, this song is about projecting your schizophrenia. It's about schizophrenia being something that kind of just acts like its own thing, like it's its own entity, even though it's not, it's a mental condition. And so it feels like your schizophrenia talks to people and tells them things that you think. Moving on to the next song, Ahead. This is just saying that this song was ahead of the curve. It wasn't supposed to be exactly here yet. And it ends with a knocking leading into Kinder Garden, which is supposed to be a funny play on words of kindergarten. Which you could pronounce it kindergarten. I wouldn't care, but it is kinder garden, and even said so in the song. But still, I don't care enough. It was intentional. The idea of this song, aka my meaning, this is kind of about, simpler times, childhood, whatever. But when I think of my childhood, I think of a lot of different things. I think of a lot of bad times more often than good times. Usually, if it's anything before I was 14, I don't remember anything good. I remember a lot of bad things between the ages of 8 through 13. I don't have a lot of good moments there. And a lot of people would think, you should have good moments. And even like family would probably say you should because there were some good times then. But to me, I don't remember it. And so for me, it's not helpful to ever think about any time between the ages of 8 and 13. So I purposefully don't. Um, I repress those memories actually because to me, it's just painful. It's like punching myself. It's just not something I want to revisit. So I don't. As for Robert's meaning, it is fairly similar. Um, it is about simpler times, but it's also about trauma and overcoming it. Even if you're depressed, you can still overcome trauma, and that's what this song is about. And yeah, that's pretty much it there. Defeatist, the next song on the album, track number 5, is very much where both meanings are the exact same. It's just you change out the name between me and Robert. It is about failure. It's about not feeling adequate. It's about your own inadequacy. Definitely. It's about your own faults. It's about your own failures. Um, but being okay with it, coming to terms, I would say. Coming to terms with your own failures and your own faults and admitting where you were wrong and moving on. Although you feel defeated, even though you feel sad, even though you feel like you could never be better, you know? And even when you finally feel happy, you just want to go sit in a corner and cry. That's what this song is about. Next song is Pseudo Lord. Um this was a track that I couldn't really fit the theme of the album super well. It's also one of the many instrumental tracks on the album, and I'm gonna just say this one's just a manic episode that I was having. I wrote it during a manic episode, and I kind of made it sound that way. So that's all it is. Uh, Next song is Untitled Split. This is much like the last album had one. This is a diss track to one of my friends. This is a diss track to one of Colt's friends, um, whose name is Tony. I do believe I say his name in the song, and even then I've said his name before, so I don't give a shit. Um, and the whole reason it's on this album, sorry, I heard something over there. The whole reason it's on this album is because um, I do speak in Dan no Robert's kind of thing headspace a little bit, so that's why it fits. And also, just to preface this, this is before Dan dies in the album, so anything before Lent to Hand, Dan is alive. So that's why there's a lot of quotes from Dan, or why Robert talks to Dan directly. The fuck is going on out there? I don't want to know. But then on this side, I don't like Tony. There you go. That's it. I don't like him. Uh, Moving on. Lent a Hand. Oh boy. This is a song where Dan dies. Now, this is entirely in Robert's perspective. This is an entirely made up song. I do not have a brother that died. I have a brother that's in jail. I don't have a brother that's died. Okay? We'll just say that now. I have a brother that's in the military, and I have a brother that's in jail. And I have a sister that is existing, okay? We'll say that. She's existing. There you go. I don't want to spoil details. I don't want to say details. I don't know. It's not happening. Okay? Also, my sister-in-law lives with obviously my brother that is in the military. So, yeah. Just saying, I don't have a brother that's died, but Lent a Hand is about Dan dying. So there you go. That's what the song is. That's what it's about. Fun fact, Lent a Hand was actually a track that I didn't finish on Agony of Man. And so making Rob's Story, it originally was just supposed to be its own standalone track, but then I decided to make the concept record an actual concept record. So then it kind of became its own thing. Next is Dan Interlude. This track, interlude, talks about Dan. That's it. It's not long. It's short. It's like 40 seconds ish. It's easy to get through. But it ends with a gunshot, which is how Dan died. I don't know if I detailed that in Lent a Hand, but yeah, Dan was shot. Next is the song You Died or Did You? Now, this might seem weird, but this is a song about overcoming someone's death. Whether it be a pet, whether it be a family member, whether it be a friend, whether it be someone you don't even know. It's about overcoming death. And that's what it's about. It's weird that it comes right after Dan Interlude because this is the part of the album where I don't know what to make the order of tracks. So I went with whatever felt natural sound-wise. So You Died or Did You would come next, even though realistically any of these songs from You Died or Did You to The Valley could be anywhere. The only song that has to remain in its spot is the closing act, which is the final track of the album, which we'll get to. Next, we have Machine Diner, which was supposed to be a kind of funny German song. It was supposed to actually make fun of the way German sounds. But then it was like, actually, no. Because I didn't want to sing in German for an entire song, which was just making fun of how German sounded. And so I was like, I'm not going to do that. And that's my meaning. As for Robert's meaning, this is for him the way he feels like he's turning into a machine. Like, he feels like he's turning into an AI and then, like, cutting himself up to be served at a diner. You know? I don't know if that makes sense. It sure shit doesn't make sense to me, but, it's kind of funny to say that that's kind of what it is. Next song is One Standing. I don't know why I named it One Standing. Even the chorus has grammatical error. But this song is another song where I wrote it during a manic episode. It's about living on a beach or an island. It depends. And you basically get to wake up looking out the window and seeing an ocean. That's what the song is about. Yeah. Um, I would say that Robert lives in a beach house. I'll give it that. I don't really know what he would think about that. Next song is When in Doubt, Crash Out. This was originally recorded for Colts game Vanished Exit, but I decided to use it here because it was kind of a chase theme that you couldn't really put anywhere in the game. So I was like, fuck it. When in doubt, crash out. And yeah. Um I don't know. I don't really know what it's about. If it would be about anything outside of that game. However, I assume that in Robert's perspective, this would be like a mental breakdown. And that's why I put it on the album, is that you could just say it's a mental breakdown and call it a day. Next is Unforgiving in Me, which is just about not being able to forgive yourself. And I think it would have the same meaning for Robert. It's just about being unforgiving for yourself. You don't want to forgive yourself. That's it. Moving on to The Valley. This is supposed to be like the light at the end of the tunnel type track where you let go, so to speak. You let go of the pain for a moment to relax. And then you have the closing act, which is just walking off the stage. There's not much else to talk about here. That's the last track. It's just you walk off the stage. All in all, I'm gonna say this: when I listen to this album, I skip the interludes because after you listen to the full album once, the interludes kind of get in the way of the spacing of the tracks, and they kind of get in the way of the actual listening experience, in my opinion. But for a story, they work fine. For a concept album, they're pretty okay. Track 10 from 15 could really be anywhere. Those 6 songs could be literally anywhere. You can put them anywhere and probably work. It's just dependent on how you want to hear the album, I guess. And yeah, this is a very tough album for me because it is it's about me, but it's also about Robert, and more so Robert than me because a I kind of made the character a little fucked up. Although for good reason, I didn't want people to see too many correlations with me and be like, okay, this is just about you, bro. When it's not. It's not all about me. There's a track that I can't relate to at all. So take a wild guess what that one is. So yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this track by track. This is the shortest because I just want to get this over with. I don't want to talk about this album much because it's a very it's a very dark record. It was recorded during a really bad time for me. Yeah, I'm gonna move on. Uh, maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day. I don't know. I'll talk about I'll talk about lobotomized inspirations. But for now, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.